Hello, my name is Evan Jacobs, and welcome to another edition of Boxing Time TV. We have a bout that is going to be happening, as I'm seeing it here, on August 6th between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman, and it's one of those things. I was gonna do the Adrian Broner Omar Figueroa fight, but I figure we'll get to that. Plus, next I'm going to be doing the Michael Conlon Manuel Mariaga fight. And also we have Hughie Fury, Michael Hunter in November. I just figured, hey, Jake Paul takes it seriously. He has done a lot for boxing, like him or not, so let's just get right to this. The odds are even. Paul is 25. Rahman Jr. is 31. Jake Paul is 6'1". Rahman Jr. 6'3". I made Jake Paul 200 for this fight. I made Rahman 205. 76 reach for Jake Paul, 74 reach for Hasim Rahman. 5-0 is Jake Paul. Rahman's 12-1. We'll talk about that. And this is an 8-round bout. And scheduled 3-minute round, 10-point must scoring system, no mandatory 8 count. 3 knockdown rule waived. All right, let's get right to it. Oh wait, I need to go back. Hold on. So sorry. I didn't put this as a simulation. No. Simulation. All right. Okay, let's get right to it. What I think is probably going to happen is I don't know that Hasim Rahman Jr. by August can be 200 pounds. They'll probably incentivize that for him. What I think probably will happen is they'll probably just make this like an exhibition so that it doesn't count like on their records, and still people will probably watch thinking that hey, he'll beat Jake Paul. And look, he comes from a championship pedigree. I don't think he hits as hard as his father based on what I've just the little bit of research that I've done. I mean, let's be honest, who knew who Hasim Rahman Jr. really was before Jake Paul started talking about him? But once again, this is intriguing, interesting fight. And look, Jake Paul is 5-0, and he is fighting guys. And I mean, how many people fight the livest bodies as they're coming up now? And he is fighting a real boxer. People talk. So we'll see. Oh, uppercut. And looked like Paul hurt Rahman a little bit. Right now, Rahman just being busier, in my opinion. I think ultimately, should he win this fight, he's just going to outwork him. Jake Paul seems to, he needs something probably he wants to work on. He seems to maybe take a picture, is enamored, loves his power, and can you blame him? He's had some highlight reel knockouts. We'll see if he's able to do that though. And I mean, honestly, if he loses, it doesn't really hurt him that much. So yeah. We're in the final minute of this, the first round between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman. It's an 8-round fight. I think it'll probably go the distance. There you have Rahman putting body shots in the bank. Something he's probably hoping to, capitalize on, make work for him as the fight continues. I'm gonna sit down. One sec, just preparing the chair. Oh, look at Jake Paul landing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here as we go into the second round. Both fighters are breathing heavy. One judge has it for Rahman. Another judge has it even. And another judge has it even. So Hasim Rahman Jr. winning that round by a slim margin as we go into the second. These two guys come out. There you have Jake Paul going to the body. Paul has power. I think Paul maybe hits harder than him. So we will have to see. I'm a little bit tired, folks. I'm not gonna lie. Had kind of a long weekend. Hung out with some friends, and yeah, it's just one of those things. Oh, and they're landing. They're landing, and Jake Paul kind of drawing out Hasim Rahman. Oh, and Hasim Rahman Jr. landing well with his jab, setting up Jake Paul. Folks, Jake Paul just needs to be busier. Right now, he's just, it's just classic boxing that Hasim Rahman is doing. He came in, he's fighting from a distance. He's landing. He's landing the bigger shots. Seems to be the harder shots, the more effective shots. Jake Paul just isn't busy enough. So they're looking at the record of these guys. You have Hasim Rahman. He has one loss. It's a fifth round knockout to James Mackenzie Morrison, the son of Tommy Morrison, which is interesting in and of itself. Victories over people I don't really recognize. But he's a young fighter, up and coming, and yeah. We'll in the next round we'll look at Jake Paul's career. And the judges having it even. And one judge. Okay, so one judge giving it to Jake Paul. So now this is even going in. We have 6 more rounds, folks. Competitive fight. And this is the kind of thing, we're going to learn a lot about Jake Paul. We're going to learn a lot about Hasim Rahman Jr. Can he continue this? Can he, be ahead in a fight like this and not, get caught up in things, the head games and the things that Jake Paul inevitably is probably going to try to do. Oh, Hasim Rahman landing hard on Jake Paul, folks. You know that if this was a real, this was not just a simulation. If this was a real fight, people would be, the crowd would be cheering and we'd want to see something from Jake, people yelling. But, yeah. Right now, this is all Hasim Rahman Jr. He probably felt that maybe he gave a little bit away in that round. So we're going to see if it wakes up Jake Paul a little bit to land and to fight in such a way that, shows that he, is who and what he says he is. Oh, and going to the body. Oh, and Jake Paul wobbles Hasim Rahman. But just like I said, as to wake up a little bit, starts landing the right hand. So we'll see, folks. Uppercut from Hasim Rahman Jr. Jake Paul's got to be careful. Doesn't want to walk into anything. But in many ways, and he takes another uppercut. He's just got to be busy. Got to let his hands go. He hurt Hasim Rahman, and it's just one of those things. He wants to continue this. Wow, and takes another right hand. As we folks, we're moving into the final few minutes. And going to the body now is Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul's putting something together, folks. I think he's slowly doing something. I think Hasim Rahman's going to get this. One judge has it even. Another judge has it even. So Hasim Rahman now ahead by 1 point, folks. This is very evenly matched as we go into the fourth round. Who knew that Jake Paul, Hasim Rahman would be a technical boxing match? And going to the body is Hasim Rahman. I'll be honest, I think Hasim Rahman is pretty much won every single round, but that's just me. I think Paul just isn't being busy enough, but I think the judges are favoring the harder punches that he's landing. Both these guys fighting very, very well. And Hasim Rahman Jr. landing hard with the right hand. Once again, you are watching Boxing Time TV. If you like what you're watching, please like, comment, and follow. Please share these links with your family and friends. Give us a follow on Instagram. Boxing Time with Evan is my handle. It looks like a Jake Paul's record. 2 victories over Tyrone Woodley, the victory over Ben Askren, the Nate Robinson victory, which really kind of brought us to his attention. Brought, everyone, kind of made people stand up and take notice. That was also on the undercard of Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., which if it was the 1990s, that would have been an amazing bout. Jake Paul, folks, is doing things to Hasim Rahman Jr. He's getting to him. Now, is Hasim Rahman Jr. drained from the weight? It's interesting. We'll have to see. And a hard right hand from Hasim Rahman Jr. A left hand. And Jake Paul landing hard on Hasim Rahman Jr. and does it again. I'm telling you, folks, I think Jake Paul is putting something together. It's almost like this is one of those fights where you have Hasim Rahman Jr. just outboxing him, doing enough, but Jake Paul, undeterred, landing hard, and could explode at any minute. And that's what we're seeing here. High drama on Boxing Time TV. And punching Hasim Rahman Jr. into the ropes. He's got to be careful, folks. Jake Paul's in front of him. He has power. And, this is a close fight. He doesn't want to give away a round too big. And look at him. Jake Paul, lands another hard right hand. Look at him placing his shots. He has Hasim Rahman Jr. hurt. Is Jake Paul taking this over, folks? Let's see now. It's 4 more rounds. This is truly a 4-round fight now. And one judge is going to give it to Paul. Another judge is going to give it to Paul. So Jake Paul one judge giving it to Rahman. So now it's even. This is literally a 4-round fight, folks. I don't think the fighters know how even it is. Jake Paul comes out and takes a hard right hand. And these guys are both going to let it all hang out. The final four rounds, I don't think they realize that it's even. They're essentially starting over from scratch. Hard right hand. All right. And Jake Paul throwing uppercuts, left hands. He's trying to time Rahman, and doing an okay job of it. He just doesn't want to have Rahman run the numbers on him in the meantime. He had a really good fourth. Wants to build on that here. Rahman's coming out. Rahman knows he's behind the 8 ball. Rahman almost landed, and he almost landed that that left hand flush. And look at this. Oh, an uppercut from Hasim Rahman, and Jake Paul's got to be careful. He doesn't want to just languish against the ropes. He's got to be on this at all times. He's got to be working, and I mean he knows that. If I were him, I would go to the body more. That seemed to really break Hasim Rahman down. I think that's what made him have such an effective fourth. As we go into the final minute of this, the 5th round, Jake Paul, Hasim Rahman Jr., a competitive fight, folks, between two smallish heavyweights. All right. And once again, folks, you are watching Boxing Time TV. If you like what you're watching, please like, comment, and follow. Please share these links with your family and friends. Please, give us a follow on Instagram, Boxing Time with Evan. I pretty much do a post every day. Sometimes boxing news, sometimes predictions, sometimes telling you about fights. I do a lot of stuff promoting. I just basically go off of who sends me, the press releases. So it's PBC, who else? PBC, Probellum. Oh, look at that, and Jake Paul wins on 2 of the judges' scorecards. He pulls ahead moving into the 6th round. Can he keep this lead? We're going to see. I do PBC, Probellum, Wasserman, Fight Club OC, which is Engelbeck Promotions and Events. Pretty much, I do bare knuckle fighting championship. Pretty much anyone, if you send me your stuff, I'll push it out. I even did some camo and USFL stuff because they sent me some information. Oh, and a hard right hand from Hasim Rahman. He wants some get back. He may know that this is slipping away from him. Oh, and look, and there's Jake Paul going to the body again. Turn the tables on Hasim Rahman, and he's got to be careful. Jake Paul's dangerous. Just ask Tyrone Woodley and Nate Robinson. Hasim Rahman has power too. I just don't know if he has fight-ending, pull it out from the firepower. Oh, and a right hand. Oh, and Jake Paul fighting with a high guard and landing well, folks. But Hasim Rahman Jr. landing shots too. This is a very well-matched contest. I think a lot of people thought Rahman Jr. was going to come in and his boxing skills were going to be so much more superior to Jake Paul's, but it doesn't seem like it's been the case so far. And if anything, Paul has shown kind of a cagey, crafty style that's backed up by power that keeps Hasim Rahman on his toes. What if Jake Paul were to beat Hasim Rahman Jr. and then Hasim Rahman Sr. were to come out of retirement? Has there ever been a situation where a fighter has beaten the father and son? I'm sure there probably has. If there has, please tell me. Oh, a hard right hand from Hasim. Oh, and he gets crushed. He gets wobbled. Jake Paul lands a hard right hand that really wobbled Hasim Rahman. I think Jake Paul might be a little tired. I don't think he realized how hurt Rahman Jr. was by that. But wow. Jake Paul setting it up, starting to take over this bout, I think. Look at that, landing those hard shots. Fighting with the high defense, picking off the shots, and landing. Oh, and landing again. Oh, and Hasim Rahman Jr. coming on at the end. Well, folks, I think you got to give that round to Jake Paul, but we'll see what the judges say. There's 2 more rounds. And wow, one judge has it having it even. One judge giving it to Jake Paul. Let me guess, this one gives it to Hasim Rahman. Wow, so that was an even round. Jake Paul up by 2 points going into the 7th round. You know, it's a slim margin. He comes out, he lands. Hasim Rahman Jr. clips him. Folks, who knows? This could be a draw. We could be seeing a draw. The way that they're scoring it. I started off, I thought Hasim Rahman Jr. had won, but I think Jake Paul has come back, and now I think Paul is probably ahead. Oh. Oh, and Hasim Rahman Jr. coming on now. Wants to steal this from Jake Paul. Jake Paul's got to be busy. He's expended a lot of energy. He's got to be tired. Oh, and a right hand from Hasim Rahman. Another one. Oh, and Jake Paul kind of pushing him back, and Hasim Rahman Jr. having a second win. Now lands an uppercut. He's taking this on. This is not a round Jake Paul wants to. Oh, and now Jake Paul comes back. Telling you folks, even fight. Oh, and Jake Paul wobbling Hasim Rahman. It really is apparent Jake Paul is the harder puncher. Oh, and lands again. Oh, and there he goes. Oh, and Jake Paul. These guys are trading it now. They are trading. Has Hasim Rahman done enough to take this round? And now is it a one-round fight, folks? We're going to see. Oh, and Jake Paul getting it. One judge giving it to Hasim Rahman Jr. And another judge giving it to Jake Paul. So Jake Paul's up by 3 points, folks. If he loses this round, I think Hasim Rahman has a draw. If he wins, he should win the fight. But we are gonna see, folks. Oh. And Jake Paul kind of drawing Rahman out. Probably trying to counter. Wants to maybe try to finish strong. Oh, and both guys are tired. Not a lot of shots being thrown, and I mean right now Jake Paul pressing the action, but he's not throwing a ton of punches. So we are in now coming into the we're well into the final. We have a little over 2 minutes, and both guys have worked so hard in this fight. It would be a shame. I wish they knew how close it was. I think they'd be fighting like it was no tomorrow. Jake Paul using that cagey style, landing those cute, hard punches. Oh, and Jake Paul gets wobbled and dropped by Hasim Rahman Jr. Who saw that coming? And Paul, is he going to get up, folks? Is he going to get up, or does Hasim Rahman Jr. get him? Is he going to get up? Oh, wow. Hasim Rahman Jr. closes the show. Oh, man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, folks, the winner is Hasim Rahman Jr. by a knockout. The fight lasted 8 rounds. Paul was knocked down one time. Hasim Rahman Jr. was not knocked down. But look, as you can see, Jake Paul was up 68, 67, 69, 68, 68, 67. Wow, folks. Look at that. Look at that. Well, hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Boxing Time TV. We hope you like what you've seen. Please give us, please share these links. Please like, comment, and follow. Please tell your family and friends. Give us a follow on Instagram. Boxing Time with Evan is my handle. And our motto here is why wait? Our motto at Boxing Time TV is why wait? Watch it now. And then watch the real thing when it airs and compare. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.